If you woke up this morning thinking something amiss, if you feel it in your bones that something dangerous just happened somewhere in the world, you are not alone. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth just fired off a new warning shot heard round the world, and it portends danger ahead. I'm David Reddish. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. Now, just a couple of weeks into his job as Defense Secretary, former Fox News host, veteran scammer, and human hooch parlor Pete Hegseth wants you to know he's the man in charge and that he supports our troops. Rather than pushing for additional benefits such as better health care or pay for our active troops and veterans, Hegseth spent yesterday peacocking for the cameras, working out with troops stationed in Germany. We think this is Hegseth's version of being a strongman as opposed to past defense secretaries such as Chuck Hagel or Lloyd Austin, who focused more on protecting our troops and our country. In war, it won't matter how much our defense secretary works out. What will matter is his command of intelligence and military strategy. No word if Hegseth also spent any time frolicking in any of Germany's fabled beer gardens. Or their strip clubs. In any case, Hegseth's little fitness video actually served as a prelude to something truly frightening this morning. Something that should give people with even basic knowledge of World War I or World War II some major pause. Speaking before the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, that's a 37-nation member group designed to defend Ukraine against Russian aggression. It includes every member of NATO and then some. Speaking before the group, Hegseth made a shocking statement that has the world on edge. Take a look.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Yes, you heard that correctly. Hegseth just, more or less, sacrificed all of Ukraine and its future to Russia. This may have something to do with the sudden freeing of American schoolteacher Mark Fogel. Fogel was arrested on questionable charges in Russia in 2021 and recently returned to the United States. That's a good thing. But it suddenly looks like Trump sacrificed millions of Ukrainians for Fogel's return. But we digress. Hegseth's declaration that Ukraine should be protected by European and non-European troops is also perplexing, given that NATO is a mix of just that. So why the aversion to admitting Ukraine to NATO, or NATO troops aiding the country? The answer's simple. Without direct NATO involvement, the United States can sit back and watch Putin gobble up the country. Neville Chamberlain did the exact same thing when Nazi Germany annexed Czechoslovakia in the 1930s. And it's not like anything bad came of that, right? Hegseth's words also echo those of Donald Trump in a recent Fox News interview. Take a look at this.
And, they may make a deal, they may not make a deal, they may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday, but we're going to have all this money in there, and I say, I want it back. And I told them that I want the equivalent, like $500 billion worth of rare earth, and they've essentially agreed to.
Hegseth and Trump's signal to Vladimir Putin that the United States is prepared to abandon Ukraine to Russian whims has already sent major shockwaves through the international community. Those were felt here at home as well, and by someone you might not expect. Fearing what this decision could mean for the future of Ukraine, Europe, and American interests, former Vice President Mike Pence took to Twitter to denounce his former boss and Hegseth's cowing. Mr. President, Ukraine will only be Russian someday if the United States abandons them to Putin's brutal invasion, Pence wrote. As you just said, when America is strong, the world is at peace. Stand firm. If Ukraine falls, it will only be a matter of time until Russia invades a NATO ally and our troops will be required to defend. As a queer kid who grew up on the Illinois-Indiana border, I never thought I would ever agree so wholeheartedly with Mike Pence. But he's right, and I do. And that frightens me for a whole bunch of reasons. Mike Pence's statement evokes memory of World War I and World War II. In the First World War, a seemingly minor assassination of a secondary European figure, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austria-Hungarian Empire, led to the biggest conflict the world had ever seen up to that time. Hence the term, the shot heard round the world. Nations of Europe used the assassination as an excuse to start invading other countries, sparking communist revolution in Russia and killing millions. World War II also began with illegal annexation of countries, as Germany under Hitler pushed for living space. Politicians like UK Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain essentially stood back and let the Nazis march all over Europe. Better to avoid a conflict, right? Of course, that's not where the story ended. In fact, Nazi Germany's biggest mistake may have been to invade the Soviet Union in hopes of controlling, get this, Ukraine. Ukraine is rich in natural resources and farmland. It's often called the breadbasket of Europe and contains heavy deposits of oil, natural gas, and rare earth minerals, the kind of elements used in the manufacture of advanced computer equipment. A variety of journalists, including our colleagues Masha Jensen and Bob Woodward, have reported that Putin's obsession with Ukraine derives from those resources. He sees control of Ukraine as a means of restoring Russia to superpower status. Hitler thought the same way. And now Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump want to let Putin have it, essentially ceding not only the people of Ukraine, but America's worldwide dominance to Russia. It makes me wonder why. Either Hegseth and Trump truly are that stupid, and that's possible, or again, the situation raises the issue that Russia and Vladimir Putin have blackmail leverage against Donald Trump. It's time for Democrats and the few remaining rational Republicans to come together and stop this desecration of the United States. It's time to forbid the sacrifice of Ukraine. It's time to call out morons like Pete Hegseth, and it's time to call out the recklessness of Donald Trump. The fate of the world depends on it. This is Occupy Democrats.